5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Deducter bringing you the ace match of the Pro League Grand Finals. This is going to be absolutely epic here. We have Best versus Flash. Interesting. That is the third choice I thought SKT1 could send out. That's always good for a team to have 3 potential ace players. Regardless, this is sort of going to be a rematch of sorts, and the audience in the background is truly going insane. And Best adjusting his headphones there, perhaps wanting to hear the audience cheer for him. I have no idea. Flash drinking his water, as focused as ever. For Flash, this is probably just another game. He's been in a gazillion high-pressure situations before, whether it's the finals of Star Leagues. He's got 6 gold medals from these Star Leagues, not to mention something like 4 silvers, I believe. Might be wrong about the statistics on the number of silvers. Might just be 3, now that I think about it. Wait, I could probably figure out how many silvers there are. I know he's got at least 2. One from the NSL, one from the OSL. But I feel he has other ones. There's one from the Gone TV situation, so that's 3. Gone TV Intel Evertech Classic. These has got to be Flash's parents there. Now they're cheering for him. Good for them. You see the KT sign there. Regardless, Best interesting choice to send out. That's actually probably a pretty shrewd choice. Surely Best has spent all his time practicing anti-Flash strategies here. Best of Best. That's a massive face of Best. That fangirl obviously loves Best there. Good for her. Where are the Flash fangirls, I wonder? The ones holding the massive Flash sign. Regardless, Flash has been in a gazillion high-pressure situations before, and the thing is, Best has only really been in one that I am aware of. One that ended rather disastrously for him. Save KT Roaster. I mean, Flash is the ultimate weapon. He is the final boss, if you would. If Best can overcome Flash here, he will have made a big comeback for himself overall, because, I mean, ever since he got into that finals with July, the 2008 Ever OSL Finals, one of the greatest finals of the OSL, in my opinion, of all times. Ever since then, Best has never been the same. Plus, he was smacked down by Stork in the next OSL, the Incrit OSL, I believe it was, in the semifinals. Stork smacked him down. And ever since then, Best was pretty much a pale shadow of his former self. Sure, he can own players left and right as long as he's not Zerg, and he can beat Flash fairly well. And, you know, he can hold his own against many top players, but he's never really accomplished much of anything. He's never been in a high-pressure situation like this again. Admittedly, this is probably even higher-pressure situation than the finals of the OSL. This is, of course, the finals of the Pro League. Everything, the entire season, comes down to this one game. That is how intense this matchup is. And everything is riding here on Best. Flash has been in this situation before, where he's had to carry his team. Well, okay, that's not true. His team did well. Even Hoja performed very well. Flash going for the Rack in the Command Center build, which is more typical these days of Terran versus Protoss, and Best responding by putting down his own Nexus. He's going to be able to put on some early pressure in this type of situation with his Dragoons. But both players looks like might be going for a somewhat longer game. Yeah, epic macro matchup. I am not convinced that Flash can beat Best, actually. And here we see the SKT1 players. UV, good for him there. UV looking intently there. He's not opted to send out his protege to deal with this. He's sent out Best, in fact. And I imagine it's going to be because Best has spent all his time preparing against Flash. The KT player is looking quite serious. I would have to say this matchup is more or less even. Maybe a slight advantage to Flash because of his aura of invincibility that he's, you know, cultivated during all this time. His aura that there's pretty much nothing you can do to really surprise or defeat him, but we know he's beatable. Zero beat him in the Pro League playoffs with great tactics. Best, though, not a very tactical player, unless he studied some Stork games and learned a lot from Stork. Stork, the best tactical Protoss player of all times. Oh, okay, of all times, that's a very dangerous statement to make, but certainly one of the best when he was in his prime. I would have to argue, sadly, these days, Stork is far from his prime. He is kind of a pale shadow of his former self. I have to say, and you Stork of, I mean, he even made the finals of the last OSL, but somehow this year he's just been sort of playing StarCraft, but his heart doesn't really seep into it anymore. Anyway, Best putting 2 Dragoons here at the front, trying to put on a bit of pressure, but Flash will have to take out soon enough to deal with this, and Flash lifting his barracks, interestingly enough, probably going to put down a bit more of a blockade here. And look at that, Flash putting down an engineering bay there at a potential expansion location for Best, but Best can easily just expand somewhere else. The thing about building the engineering bay there are a lot of potential uses. He's opted not to finish it. I thought maybe Flash would finish it and float it into the main to take a look at what's going on. But I guess with scanning is a better alternative. He just wants to lay that base for for as long as possible. But this is not going to matter Best at all. He's going to be able to put down a base at 3 o'clock. It delayed him a few seconds, but I don't think he's going to care. In fact, he probably wanted that base all along since it has gas. To tank out, Flash is going to be able to force Best back. Flash, of course, with the tank under the barracks just to protect it. He is playing very high-level StarCraft here, and Best surely also going to play some high-level StarCraft. Flash canceling that engineering bay. I mean, I can imagine Flash when he realized that Stats is going to win when So could not break through Stats' defenses in the last game. And Best 2 probes INO there. That is shocking for Best, I have to say. I mean, that is normally a very small thing, but for a player of Best's macro caliber, that is absolutely shocking, especially in the finals of Proleague. And I wonder, is the pressure getting a bit to Best here? Is he really playing at his best in this sort of situation? Bisu at least sending him out here, even though he doesn't have the best track record against Flash. If Bisu's been in plenty of high situations before. He's won all the finals he's actually made it to, and he's been instrumental in SKT1 winning the Pro League 2 years ago. And Flash trying to sneak what vultures he can by laying some mines over the place, and he might be able to drag the mines into the probe line, not quite able to do that. There's another mine being laid there, and Best, if he's not careful, it could be absolutely disastrous for Best. It could be, that was the call! Holy, I mean, Best was saved by the skin of his teeth there, but Flash, look at that, he's not letting out the pressure already with vultures there at the 3 o'clock base, able to pick off a few more. But if that mine had gone out, this would have been GG, and Flash would have won like that. But Best, somehow, with the presence of mind to finish off that mine, I mean, that must have been like 100 milliseconds before it exploded. Absolutely incredible, absolutely tense series here. Flash has done the damage he wanted to do, I feel. He's inflicted a decent amount of economic damage. Best still with the 2 idle probes there. I mean, those probes being idle there, that means Best is just not paying attention to that. And this is shocking. Shocking, I have to say, for a player in the situation of the Grand Finals of Pro League, especially if that player happened to have practiced entirely against Flash builds, which I imagine that is what Best did. Hopefully Best does not go for carriers. I think Flash would be able to defeat it. He's put down his armory here, and now Flash gonna siege up his tanks to protect his 3rd base here. He's gonna be able to get it up comfortably, and Best, because of those harassments, is actually in a bit of trouble. He needs to get another base down or inflict some counter damage to the Terran, but he's not going to be able to do that anytime soon. So his best bet is probably to get another base sooner rather than later, despite Flash's very nice harassment attempts here. And things are going to be quite desperate here for Best, I have to say, if he cannot do something sooner rather than later. Unless he's got some sort of clever strategy plan. Best is famous for his Arbiter play. That is another way he could potentially win the game. Whatever he does, he cannot allow Flash to take the base at the 12 o'clock position without expanding himself. That would be GGing too. So he either needs to shut down Flash's attempt at expansion, which he does not appear to have the ground forces to get that done, or he needs to get another base himself. And getting another base himself is quite doable at this point. Looks like that is what Best is going to go for. Flash is going to scan and know that Best is expanding right now. He's probably a little suspicious, I would imagine. Flash might be thinking, why doesn't Best have more bases? Flash may be a little thrown off by this. I don't think Flash did nearly as much damage with those well, not 2 vultures, but with those few vultures that that it would slow Best down this much. I suspect it might be some sort of nerves for Best here, that he's just not playing quite as well as he should be playing. I fear that really is the case here, and that would be somewhat disappointing. Best is a player who just cannot seem to rise to the occasion when the pressure is on him. He cannot seem to cope, and you know, many players can't be like that. You call it your C shields, your Midases, and Stork for a long time there, until he finally got that goat of his. You know, many players who are otherwise great players are not champions. There is something that separates champions from your otherwise great players. Flash putting down his science facility now. Probably going to focus on getting his upgrades there. Although I think it is generally wise to build science vessels, even if the Protoss player is not going for science. I mean, for arbiters, EMP can be very effective when used appropriately, just to knock off the shields of the Protoss units. Now it looks like, though, Best is going to be able to get a good army up now that he's at 4 bases, but the thing is, Flash is also on 4 bases. Generally, Protoss player wants to be even with the Terran in terms of the number of bases. And now Arbiter Tribuna going down here for Best. The thing about Best is he is very good at macro. He's very good at spending his resources, so he may be able to conjure up the impressive army despite having the same number of bases as Flash. This game is still in the balance. I would have to give it a slight advantage here to Flash, but Best with one good attack could yet turn this around. Perhaps he studied Flash's weakness, knowing that Flash sometimes gets his units into bad tactical situations, and he can flank Flash's army, surround it, and destroy it. He will win the games, and Best's going to put down expansion there, it looks like, at the 1 o'clock base. That is perhaps what Best is banking on. He cannot afford to attack Flash head-on unless he gets another base up, and if he can maintain that base and Flash doesn't get another base, then perhaps he can afford. And look at this! Flash! Oh, this is intense, man! Flash wants to prove that Best is not a superior macro player. He's put down 5 more factories here to counter Best. With his dozen or so gateways, I'd imagine that's the number of gateways he has at this point. He's building a lot of Zealots. As soon as he gets speed, he's going to be in position to launch an attack. Ooh, that mine doing a lot of damage for all those Dragoons. But most of the Dragoons probably only suffered shield damage. They will recover in time. Best obviously waiting for his speed to kick in on his Zealots. He can't really attack before then. And he's just going to use these Dragoons to clear what mines he can in the middle. While Flash marauds around the map with some of these vultures. Flash is fond of sending swarms of vulture into a base and just absolutely massacring the workers. That is something that Flash often likes to do, although outside of his early harassment attempts, he's not opted to do that. You can see Best putting down gateways there at the 1 o'clock. That is his signature maneuver. Best losing Dragoon 2. It's not that critical at this point in the game, but Best is infamous for putting down gateways at another main spawn point on these 4 players map, and then unleashing wave after wave of units just to overwhelm his opponent. And Best is perhaps the only Protoss player around who can match Flash in terms of macro, and both players are macroing furiously. Surely that is the case, but Flash perhaps wanting to prove to Best that he can match Best unit for unit here. Well, obviously a Terran player can never really match the Protoss player unit for unit. Protoss player would just put down 20 gateways and build so many. But I guess Flash more to the point that he can match Best army for army, because the mech army is much stronger than Protoss army when used correctly. So perhaps Flash just wants to build up enough of a force to beat Best here. Now, it looks like both players mobilizing their armies for a massive attack. Best does have a shuttle. I believe that might be Zealot bombs, although he would probably be wiser to have High Templar in there. I'm not sure whether he has that. And only now is Best really starting to mine from that base at the 1 o'clock base. Now, Flash pushing out with a massive army. Truly imposing army of tanks. And Best not quite opting to engage yet. He knows that in these situations, it's best to delay the Terran army for as long as possible. Flash looks like is going to go for the 3 o'clock base, and if he can separate that base, he will have free reign to attack 12 potentially, but this can be dangerous. Flash needs to be very careful, not get his army sandwiched in between 2 potentially stronger forces. He's managed to use that little map artifact in the middle of that ramp there to protect his northern flank somewhat, which is good, very good for Flash. there, but Flash biding his time, not quite pushing through. Bisu looking quite intense there, and I cannot predict who's going to win. What I predict Best is going to do is going to trade armies, macro up another force, and then try to defeat Flash before Flash can get enough reinforcement in front. Great storms going off all over Flash's units. Flash is losing a good number of his screening units, but not quite. He's still got the bulk of his tanks. That Arbiter does not have enough energy for a stasis. The KP team is going insane here, and Best is losing a lot of units. Flash taking the battle. But Best managed to retreat most of his forces, and he's going to be able to re-macro up another army furiously. It is way too early to call this game here. Best transferring probes to 6 o'clock. He is going to get himself into a superior economic position. As long as he can macro up enough forces, he needs to destroy Flash's armies, cut down Flash's base there at the 9 o'clock position. Flash has got himself siege position over that base at the 3 o'clock, and now Best coming in for attack. Massive attack, but Best not committing to that attack, losing a lot of units on the retreat there. I'm not sure whether that was wise. Perhaps he should have committed to the attack. Best in desperate trouble here. His macro not quite up to snuff this particular game. Desperately building what units he can, but he's not able to challenge Flash head on. Now he's going to try to intercept Flash's reinforcements, of which there are a lot. So many vultures coming up on Flash, dwarfing the Protoss army here, and Flash unleashing his mech army. What storms there are, and look at that, KD players absolutely ecstatic. Looks like KD is going to win the Pro League 2 years in a row, mostly on account of Flash here, and Best not quite living up to his namesake here. This is not the game he delivered against Flash. In the game where he beat Flash, he actually committed to the army trade. Great storm here by Best, and managed to catch Flash's force in a little out of position, but he just doesn't have enough units to get it done. If he had stuck to his attacks, he probably would have been in a better shape, but Best's focus has been so lackluster this game, so unfocused and undisciplined, that I really have to blame Best for just not really being able to live up to the pressure here, not really able to rise to the occasion to challenge Flash. He's still got some units outside fighting here, but Flash with so many tanks getting positioned over the bridge, he's going to be able to kill that base at the inside 5 o'clock, and that's going to be over. Best KT1 coach looking forlorn there. He's in despair, I have to say, because so unfortunate here for Best being defeated by Flash two times in a row, unfortunately. And look at all those probes. I mean, you can tell that Best just was not so focused this game. 2 probes idling early on. Those probes could easily be transferred to the 1 o'clock base for some additional mining, which Best actually needs right now. But does not look like Best has enough units. He's rallying what units he can down here to try to finish Flash off, but Flash still has a massive core of tanks that he's yet to lose here. And he's probably streaming all sorts of vulture reinforcements. This is a tense battle, but Best, he would have been wiser to commit to these battles, re-macro up his army, and then commit to another massive battle. He lost a lot of units on the retreat there when he pulled back from the engagement, and those were losses he could ill afford. And with this, I fear that Best, there is pretty much no chance of him winning now. He's lost the base at that inside 5 o'clock. He's down to his natural base and the 1 o'clock base mining, and he might be able to survive for a bit longer, but Flash is not going to be bothered by this at all. Best trying to attack as best he can, I guess. I don't know why he hasn't stasis. Great! Azella mind drags there, inflicting a lot of damage on Flash's forces. The thing is, Flash has enough units to absorb the losses. If he had done this earlier, he would have won. And maybe not necessarily win, but it would be a much closer game. As it stands, this is merely the inexorable tide of the Terran mech forces just creeping into the Protoss territory and wiping out settlement after settlement, and there does not appear to be anything the Protoss warriors can do in this case to stem the tide of the Terran onslaught. Best going to use his Dark Templar, but that command center was cancelled there, and Best may be able to annoy Flash here and there, but it's not going to matter. There is pretty much no way that Flash could lose, because, wow, just looking at the food count, Flash is at 190 and Best at 71. And Flash still has a lot of minerals in the bank. So Best wants to fight on for as long as possible in this Grand Finals match. That Dark Templar killing 4 vultures with 1 mind track, but it doesn't matter. This is going to be GG. Best may choose to build what units he can at the 1 o'clock base for last stand. but that's pretty much all he can do at this point. It's taking Flash forever to kill these gateways. That's how many gateways that Best actually managed to put down. KT team is ecstatic here. The coach is having their golden boy Flash, despite his hand injury, delivering in critical matchups. That is Flash. He overcomes all. He truly does. If any viewers here watches Angel, Flash would be, well, he wouldn't be the Gruseluk per se, but his title would be the same. He overcomes all. Anyway, this is the case here. And what can I say about this game? Best should have committed to the attacks. He might have still lost, but when he pulled back, he just lost way too many units on the retreat. While inflicting no damage, he would have been better off inflicting what damage he can. Best still trying to fight as best as he can at the 1 o'clock base, but Flash is best boxed in more or less. He's sending tanks to shore up the siege there. And you can see this is the Flash difference here. Flash only leaving some units there to finish off that base. He's transferred the bulk of his forces, it looks like, to the 1 o'clock base. Actually, no, this isn't a bulk of his forces. It's only part of his forces. Best might be able to break through here. He's actually going to be able to break through, it looks like. No, he's pulling back here. But it doesn't matter. Bisu, though, looking calm. Perhaps Bisu thinks he should have been sent in to deal with Flash. Bisu, I feel, would have been much more confident in a high-pressure situation, which might actually be better here. I just feel Best really was overawed by the arena here. And this is Jelizerg all over again. In the face of a superior opponent in a high-stakes matchup, Best just cannot quite live up to the challenge. He cannot rise to the occasion. Now Stasis, not that it matters much. He would have been better stasising units on the ramp, actually, to try to buy himself some time. But Flash now moving in a lot of tanks, and Best with almost no units left. He's lost to Arbiter. This is going to be over. Flash streaming units in. KT team cheering. They know victory is at hand here. Hoja! I can't believe, of all players, with a critical win for KT. Stats, of course, delivering, and massive chanting in the background. They know that KT has won. Absolutely incredible matchup. Absolutely incredible series. This has lived up to the hype 10 times over. Best GG! KT is going to be the new Proleague champions. Well, that's not true. They're going to be the defending Proleague champions, but they're going to win this year too. 2 years in a row. That's actually a very impressive accomplishment. And wow, Flash 2 victories over Best, one of his arch nemesis, in high pressure situation like this. And absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. I am just, oh, look at Flash there. He, of course, gets to hold the flag. Who else? Flash has been the hero on this occasion. I wonder how much this victory is going to translate in terms of money for him. Probably with that, he's just got himself another $30,000 bonus or something like that. But anyway, fantastic work. Thank you for watching this Pro League Grand Final Series. Absolutely astonishing series.